or you cream a multitude of people. I mean, it's just like you put all the offensive players in one bag, and I just take a baseball bat and beat on the bag. So each time he came over there, I tried to tear his damn head off. Let's play some football. Let's play some football.
The pressure is on. This is Off the Edge on Tide 100.9.
Focus on what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. Think about that. Don't think about how you feel, how tired you are, how hot it is. You got to push yourself on the field like when you're playing football.
It's my honor to present the National Championship Trophy to Coach Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide.
To me, this is the ultimate team. All these guys bought into everything they needed to do to be the best players that they could be. There's more togetherness on this team than almost any team that we've ever had. And they had to overcome and persevere so much adversity through this season, and they've done it magnificently. And I'm so proud of this group for what they've been able to accomplish and going undefeated and winning the national championship.
Streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and the Tide 100.9 app. Here is your host of Off the Edge, Jacob Harrison.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome in to Off the Edge, Tide 100.9. It's a great day to talk some Alabama football. It is game week, and we'll dive into the Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the Miami Hurricanes in just 5 days over the next 56 minutes. Jacob Harrison here, Bryant Horn producing the show. The show is brought to you by Alabama Vintage, 2210 University Boulevard under the Crimson awning across from City Hall. So much to get into over the next 5 days. And we've got a lot in store, trying to figure out, as we venture through our first week, game week of the show, since we started back in about mid-February. On Tuesdays, we'll meet with AJ Spur of Roll Tide Wire. Big friend of the show, right? Wednesdays, Joey Blackwell. And this week, we will speak with David Lake of Inside the U, who has done just a fantastic job of not only giving some deep analysis of the Miami Hurricanes, but also of understanding what Alabama is bringing to the table in 5 days in Atlanta, Georgia as well. Because as I was doing some research this morning, something I intend to do for the Miami Hurricanes later today is players you need to know, players to watch out for. Who are the Hurricanes that are going to be the biggest factors in this game, right? And David Lake did the same thing on Inside the U. Here's the funny thing. He named almost every single starter. You can't avoid it. Alabama has so much firepower heading into the first week of the season. Even with all of the overturn on offense, you still feel this supreme confidence heading into the first matchup of the season against the Hurricanes. Because I'm racking my brain, right? I'm like, what are some gimmicks we can hold on to kind of help, right? What's one bold take? There is no bold take. Alabama's ready. Alabama's ready. Miami is not. Derek King is ready, but the rest of the Hurricanes, they're not ready. I want to be like, here's a bold prediction, but the fact of the matter is for long enough, I've said the way I see this game going is Derek King playing his best ball and it just not being enough, and Alabama still wins by 3 scores. I can't come to any further conclusions. So if you can come to a different conclusion, if you have concerns, if you have doubts, then you're more than welcome to share them with me so that maybe I'll stop feeding you rat poison through the airwaves as well as on the live streams on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Appreciate you if you're watching there. Like, share, and subscribe as well. 205-342-9904. It's your show for the rest of the day, and I want to kind of, get the feel. Where's the fan base at? I know we've got a battle at right tackle. I know we've still, shockingly, have a battle at center. I know we don't know who the punter is, but I'm here to tell you that looking through and trying to understand what Miami brings to the table defensively, it ain't great. It ain't great. Like, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It is good, but it's the same. It goes to the same thing as the offensive line, as we talked about at the end of the last week. An offensive line that returns all 5 starters, has a college football record number of combined starts between them at 190. And yet David Lake, when discussing the trenches, discussing the depth, and giving out grades to each position group on that football team, the Miami Hurricanes, who he covers a lot closer over there at 247 Sports, he described it as a good offensive line. Good. Good don't cut it against Alabama. Good does not get the job done. When we look back over, I don't know, the past 6-7 years with the Alabama Crimson Tide, and we look at players that have made impacts against Alabama, players that have led their teams to victories over Alabama, you don't see a lot of good players there. You don't see a lot of good players. There are a handful. And you got your Bo Nixes, you got your Bo Wallaces. That's just something about Bo, I guess. You've got some good players who have managed to get it done. But when you're talking about guys that actually got the job done, you're talking great players. You're talking historic players. You're talking players we won't forget about their college careers over the next 25 years. You're talking Johnny Manziel. You're talking shotgun Cordell Jones. You're talking Ezekiel Elliott. You're talking Deshaun Watson. You're talking Trevor Lawrence. You're talking Clemson's defensive line in that 2018 national championship. You're not talking about okay football players. You're not talking about Charleston Rambo and being a good receiver at Oklahoma trying to step in and be the number 1 here. You're not talking about an average linebacking core. You're not talking about a average offensive line despite all the experience. A few weeks ago, we brought up the question, how much is experience going to help these college football teams? Look at Iowa State. We discussed it on Saturday, Bryant. All the experience that Iowa State brings back. You can be the most experienced player out there and still suck. Adrian Martinez, we're looking at you.
Holy cow.
How do you regress over 10 years? How long has he been there, first of all? But, I mean, at the top of the game, right? At the top of the game, they said Adrian Martinez had a freshman season to remember. Right? He had a great freshman season. He really did.
93.
Right. Was it like they were still winning natties back when Adrian Martinez enrolled in Nebraska, right? How do you regress? How do you do that? But that's exactly my point. Zion Nelson is a great left tackle, but Zion Nelson hasn't played nobody like Will Anderson or Chris Allen. How long has he been there?
Surprising. Since 2018.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 years. And you know what's funny?
Yeah, this makes 4 years, yeah.
On sportsreference.com, it has him still listed as a junior. So did he use his COVID year, or I guess maybe it was redshirted?
It's all going to be weird.
But I do feel like he's been there for way longer.
No, it certainly does feel like he's been there for way longer. But again, going back to Zion Nelson, great left tackle. Great left tackle. He's had to grow, right? His freshman year, not superb. Last year, much, much better. But like I talked about last week, he hasn't played anybody like Will Anderson. He hasn't played anybody like Chris Allen. He hasn't played anybody, like Chris Braswell, like Drew Sanders. Because honestly, there have been no good pass rushers in the ACC that have played anywhere except for Miami. None. Clemson's pass rushers have not come back to that level. Brian Brees is good, but he's more of an interior guy. So at what point are we going to arrive to the decision to just lock this one up and feel confident heading in? That question is for people like you, Brian, who worry regardless of the circumstances. Miami is the number 14 team in the country. This should be a good game, but so many games in college football are written on paper, and I'm feeding you the rat poison this morning, and I don't quite frankly care. I think you're going to have some good moments from the green and orange. You're just not going to have enough. You're just not going to have enough.
My experience with these kickoff games has always been worry. Then we end up blowing them out. I know that this is going to be a blowout. I mean, I was looking at this over, and Vegas has it like 61.5. I would take that over in a heartbeat. You hammer me over on that.
Easy.
Now I'm starting to think that this might not be. I mean, I told you on Saturday, I'm not that concerned about this team.
I don't believe you. I really don't.
I don't know how to prove it to you, Jacob. I mean, I'm not. I think Derek King is going to have a really good game, but Derek King having a really good game, full stop, period, is not enough to beat Alabama.
Absolutely. And listen, there are some good players out there. I fully expect Charleston Rambo to do some exciting things. They've got some good players. It's just not enough. Before we head to break, again, Alabama Vintage 2210 University Boulevard. This Friday will be Alabama Vintage Player of the Month, where we'll give away a $25 gift card. So be sure to stick around on Friday for your chance to win that $25 gift card. You can go check out Alabama Vintage in the meantime, though, as you prepare for the upcoming season, and check out all the vintage jerseys and commemorative t-shirts, the shoes, the hats, all the gear that resides inside that store. Not all of it just Alabama. There's some professional items in there as well. I have gotten such an incredible bounty of Steelers items since February, since knowing Charlie. Go check them out. Alabama Vintage at Alabama VTG on the Instagram account. Check out the brand ambassadors, the student athletes with NIL deals that are partnered with Alabama Vintage for 15% off your order at alabamavtg.com. Also, stay weather aware. Download the Tuscaloosa Threaded app and stay up to date. I know the hurricane is, it's made its way through, and it'll be, giving us the business, later. So, stay weather aware. Tuscaloosa Thread app available in your Android and Apple devices. Do that so you can stay aware and stay up to date on what's going on. And of course, stay within your family of Town Square media stations. I'm losing my comfort pen. Your 95.3 The Bear, Catfish 100.1, 92.9 WTUG. Sorry. 95.3 The Block, all of those, 97.5 The Nick. Am I missing one? I feel like I'm missing one.
95.3 The Block. It's 95.3 The Bear, 105.1 The Block.
That's it. I'm sorry. 95.1.
Fun, inside baseball. We always at the station call them by their call letters. So sometimes I forget what their actual FM dial location is. So
I don't know anybody.
Yeah,
I don't
call
know
them by their call letters.
I don't know our call letters. I'm not that old school radio guy. Can't do it. I forget the logins to the production stuff all the time. There's your little behind the scenes moment. Yeah.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Appreciate it, Bryant. We'll take a break, continue the conversation. Hey, you're more than welcome to join the conversation in the comment section of the streams, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, at Off the Edge 109, or you can call into the show 205-342-9904. 5 days away from Miami and Alabama. Your opinions next. Off the Edge, Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama sports.
Let's just take that out of your mouth.
At Ping's Pre-K, the growing enrollment is no play date.
Toilet is not a closet.
She needs more teachers certified in early childhood development.
Is it nap time yet? Lunch?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Touchdown! Alabama wins! The Alabama football countdown clock is driven by Crawford Insurance, Tuscaloosa's low-cost auto insurer. Call 752-6489 for a free quote today.
Roll Tide! Roll Tide!
There are 5 days until Alabama football.
Dominate! O'Reilly!
It's O Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts, where you can earn double, triple, even up to 5 times O Rewards points on select purchases. Get bonus points on more than 200 items throughout the store, like wiper blades, fuel system cleaners, motor oil, and more. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If you're in HR, you're probably wearing a lot of hats. Recruiter, team builder, trainer, mediator, policymaker, and of course, paper pusher. But not anymore. Bamboo HR is the #1 HR software for small and medium businesses. It manages all your employee data easily and automates countless tasks, so you can focus on people, not paperwork. Bamboo HR frees you from spreadsheets, so you can do your real job, creating a great place to work. If the data shuffle and paperwork mountain have you ready to hang up all your hats, you're ready for Bamboo. If you handle HR records and paperwork, Bamboo HR is a dream. Let us free up your time and put your days of pushing paperwork behind you, so you can focus on the people and making your company a great place to work for everyone. Try PC Magazine's top pick for HR software free today. Just go to bamboohr.com/panda. This is a limited offer only available to radio listeners at bamboohr.com/panda. That's bamboohr.com/panda.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cloudy and windy with occasional rain through tonight. The rain could be heavy at times. A flash flood watch remains in effect. Also, the chance of a few isolated brief tornadoes. The high today 79, the low tonight 70. Tomorrow, occasional showers with a high at 78. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 77 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Follow Off the Edge on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for live streams and instant analysis. Off the Edge with Jacob Harrison continues.
(205-342-9904) if you want to join the show and lend your thoughts, your expectations heading into the first game of the season. 5 days away, Alabama versus Miami. The Hurricanes and the Crimson Tide meet up for the first time in my lifetime. This is the first time since January of '93 that Alabama and Miami have suited up. I, of course, I didn't join this world until April of '94. Bryant, a few years later as well. So we're all a bunch of babies around here. I think Joe is like the only person that's not like a host that was alive when that game happened.
I don't know how old Joe is.
Joe's in his 30s. Early 30s.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. Got to throw a little shade at the boss, you know.
He might not even been alive. Well,
no, I think he was.
Oh, yeah. It would have been a baby, though.
Check this out, though. This is when you know the rat poison is real, but it's justified.
But you're the one giving the rat poisons.
I am. But this comes straight from David Lake, who we will talk to on Thursday. I don't know if you can tell. Super excited to talk to this guy. This is real analysis right here. Miami's offensive line has a combined 190 starts. Alabama's offensive line combined 54 starts. Which offensive line you feel better about?
Alabama.
Yep. Let's get down to the defensive line. Give me the defensive line. Give me the defensive line. See, this is when you scroll something that's really, really long. It's not there. Where'd it go?
I've been there before, man.
Yeah, looking like a fool.
Mike Francesco over here.
Yeah. There we go. Miami career snaps production of the starters. 2,902 career defensive snaps, 91 games. Alabama's 3,825 defensive snaps, 105 games. That's not a big discrepancy, right? It sounds like a lot because it's a handful more games and almost 1,000 more snaps, but within that time period, Alabama has 100 more tackles, 12 more tackles for loss, and 7.5 more sacks. You can look at this every other way you want to, and as well, just to look at that 105 games played to the 190 of the offensive line for Miami, and you continue to go down that road and you continue to see something. Even the numbers don't back up what Alabama's about to do to Miami. They really don't. You can look at trends from yesteryear, in relation to just Alabama, but even just comparing everything, it doesn't particularly match up because you can average size of Miami's starting offensive line, 6'5", 321. Average size of Alabama's offensive line, 6'4", 316. When was the last time Alabama's offensive line was going to look smaller than an opponent's offensive line? Never.
What's going to happen whenever
never.
this game is closer than you think it is? Because I know all this stuff that you're telling me is very factual, and it's a good reason why Alabama is probably just going to obliterate Miami. But what if it's close?
I got my answer right here.
All right.
Give me 3
Or what
seconds.
if Miami beats Alabama? Because nothing is ever set in stone. Nothing is ever 100%. I refuse to believe that. I will buy into rat poison. I will, but nothing is.
That's it right there. I am often incorrect.
This might be the most
but
boomer
always
thing you've ever
confidently
done.
so.
You hear that?
Boomer.
You're being a boomer.
Am I being
showing a meme on your phone to the webcam is so boomer.
That's my header on Twitter because it's reality. Sometimes you're wrong. Bro, Saturday morning, you and I sat in these chairs and agreed that UCLA would beat LSU.
We did, and it's going to happen.
What's going to happen if you're wrong, Bryant?
I'm not going to be wrong. I'm never wrong. I say it's on my show every Wednesday.
Always wrong.
Never wrong.
Quite often wrong.
Tell me the last time I was wrong.
Just then, when you said that you're never wrong.
That doesn't count.
That's exactly when it counts. Seeing your Green Wave hat there, first of all, is that insinuating anything? Hurricanes, Green Wave, green?
No, I have a
green?
Miami Hurricanes hat that I'll wear. I mean, I'm not scared.
Uh,
I just,
when are you going to wear it, though? Because another
I'll wear it tomorrow.
peek behind the curtain. You're not going to, be producing the show much longer.
I'm going to wear it.
You're going to wear it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So you're going to be brave enough to walk into this station on game week wearing a Miami Hurricanes hat.
Yeah. It's a bad ass hat. I like it.
Ever the heel.
Ever the heel.
Ever the heel.
Never
Brian
the
Horn.
baby face.
But Tulane is going to play against, be on the same field as the Oklahoma Sooners for week 1. That game, because of Hurricane Ida, has been moved to Norman, Oklahoma. So where
was it supposed to be?
It was supposed to be in New Orleans.
In the Sugar Bowl?
I
guess it would be the Superdome.
I got the notification right before we came to break.
Well,
so
I just had to wear my Tulane hats in support of all the people in Louisiana. I love New Orleans. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. And all my prayers and thoughts are going out to those affected by Ida. So, yeah, I had to support the Tulane Green Wave. Beautiful campus.
So, interesting. Okay. So, I just said that. 40 minutes ago, I got a notification from The Athletic. Hurricane Ida forces Oklahoma Tulane to move to Norman. And then Pete Thamel, as I'm saying this, tweets out, just spoke to Tulane AD Troy Dannon. It's still uncertain if Tulane's game against Oklahoma will even still be played this weekend. If it is played, then the contingency plan is to be moved to Norman.
I think they're practicing in Birmingham. I think I saw that Tulane has and LSU. LSU is going to Houston and Tulane is going to Birmingham to practice in preparation for their games.
Understandable. I will say, again, just a reminder, I'll probably do this before we head to every single break, but stay tuned in. Tuscaloosa Thread, download the Tuscaloosa Thread app, download your Town Square Media station app, whether that's WTUG or The Block or whatever, The Bear. Download that and stay weather aware, stay up to date on what's going on as the hurricane comes pushing through. I know that many schools were closed today. All my kids are still at home. So if be understanding, even though the weather hasn't gotten here yet, it's coming. So just stay weather aware, stay up to date with the apps.
And it really is dependent on what type of weather conditions are happening, but there is a chance, I believe, that we could go wall to wall today. So if that's the case, that's your best place to find information about impending weather. It happens during tornado season. Yeah. It happens during severe weather events like that flooding that we had a few months ago. So if you're listening to Tide and it's not sports and it's Meg from The Bear on, then she's going to give you some really good information about how you can stay weather prepared, just like you would find on the Thread app.
Absolutely. All that information there at TuscaloosaThread.com as well. We'll take a break, continue the conversation. 205-342-9904. Dealing with a hurricane these first few days, and we'll close out the week by kicking the hurricane's teeth in as well in Atlanta, Georgia. So we'll continue to have some fun here on Off the Edge. Tide 100.9, your home for Alabama sports.
Indeed helps you hire great people fast. Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, according to Talent Nest. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Start fall with everything to do business better during Dell Technologies Labor Day event. Save up to 45% on select business PCs with Windows 10 Pro. Power your workday with savings on Dell servers, monitors, docks, and other accessories, plus free shipping on everything. Do more with modern devices and Windows 10 Pro. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL for business specials during Dell's Labor Day event.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live, in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21.
At Target, we know there are a lot of firsts when it comes to going back to school. First impressions, first chapters, first day photos. So with easy and safe ways to shop like order pickup, drive up, and school list assist, make Target your first stop back to school.
Walk-On athletes put everything they've got into the game.
Walk-On Sports Bistro puts everything we've got into bringing you game day with a taste of Louisiana.
Over 70 big screen TVs.
Mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine. Po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers and fresh salads.
Made from scratch with ingredients you can't help but crave.
Now open in Tuscaloosa, 6785 Skyland Boulevard.
Walkons.com.
Walk-On Sports Bistro. More than a restaurant.
You're listening to Off the Edge on Tide 100.9.
Bryant, you said you liked my segue in the previous segment. The guy we featured on the show before, Dakota Cox of Bama Hammer, brought to the question, it's trash talk season now. I don't know if you noticed, you woke up, scrolled Twitter the first thing this morning, saw the headlines, the trash talk going around. Feels so good just to be in the season. But he poses the question, can we discuss how mess up it is that Miami is called the Hurricanes? I know we're dealing with the Hurricane, so it might be a little bit weird to joke about it. It's a little weird.
Also, their mascot is a crane that smokes a pipe and has teeth. So
the teeth part is the worst part.
Also,
birds with
cranes
teeth
don't smoke pipes. They don't. And he's wearing a sailor's hat. I have a problem with that.
Why would you have a problem with that?
Because cranes can't captain boats.
Donald Duck wears a sailor uniform.
He's not a sailor either. I have to make a stance. I don't like when cartoon characters wear sailor outfits.
Brian, did you have to wear a sailor outfit as a child?
No.
I don't believe you.
All right, fine, okay.
This sounds like some BoJack Horseman level trauma. Because BoJack Horseman had to wear sailor uniform as a child. I don't know if you've ever seen the show, Brian.
Yes, I've seen BoJack Horseman. It's a great show.
It is, but that sounds like that level of trauma.
Jacob.
I know. I'm talking about BoJack Horseman. You gotta think of Joe, right?
Okay. No, seriously though, your homework for this week, preferably before my last day, I want you to watch the documentary about Miami, the 30 for 30. Because now it's a great time. We're playing Miami this weekend. You need to watch it. I think the U part 1 is the best 30 for 30 I've seen.
So I've got 5 hours left on my Madden 22 trial.
I don't care.
I've got 5 hours left on my Madden 22 trial. Corey, should I watch the 30 for 30 on Miami, or should I spend what little off time I have playing the remainder of my 5 hour trial on Madden 22?
Well, first of all, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, man. It's game week. I'm hyped up.
Well, first of all, I liked the 30 for 30, both part 1 and 2. It was great. It tells the whole story of Miami's image and reputation. And if you don't know a lot about Miami and what they're known for, you'll get a clear picture of it pretty quickly.
Yeah. I got my fill on Saturday. I don't know if you listened in, Corey, but on Saturday morning, Kendall and Bryant and Mason all let me have it because I haven't watched that many sports movies and sports documentaries. And the Miami 30 for 30 was one of the big ones that I was called out for not seen. I guess I'll find some time to watch it this weekend. I guess I pay for ESPN Plus for a reason.
Going into this game, wouldn't you think that 19.5 points is pretty easy to take?
Yeah, I would take that pretty confidently. And like Bryant said, you said 61.5. I'd take that pretty confidently as well. I think, there might be some concerns based off of the things that Nick Saban has said at press conferences over the past few weeks, and we'll get to hear from him again today. That maybe the supporting cast around Bryce Young, maybe not giving as much, not giving him the best opportunity to be successful. But I would say going up against Miami's secondary and Miami's linebackers, I'm sure you heard the other day, Christopher Stock of Inside the U on with the game with Ryan Fowler, and he talked about how the Hurricanes linebackers they're just bad. They're non-existent. They're not good. Now I will say Miami does have one pretty good safety. Name escapes me, but one pretty good safety does not a defensive backfield make. So even even with all of that, kind of taken in, I still fully expect Bryce Young to do Bryce Young things. I expect these wide receivers to still make plays, because at the same time, Nick Saban's the kind of guy to be upset because you're playing at 98% and not 100%, capability, and that could very well be the entire conversation right there.
What do you think? I know you'll dive deeper into this, but as we sit today on a Monday, what do you think will ultimately decide the game?
What will decide the game?
I think it'll be stopping D'Eriq King at all possible.
Well, see, I think you can you're not going to let D'Eriq King do anything. But if D'Eriq King does, like I've said, has 3 runs of 20+ yards, you can still be in control of the ballgame. And ultimately, I think what decides the game, what makes the game closer than I believe it will be, is if Charleston Rambo or any of these wide receivers or any of these running backs help D'Eriq King make plays. Because when I look at the Hurricanes and what they've got, their defense is not going to be able to match up with Alabama's offense. It's just the reality of the situation. But offensively, they have a lot of unknown commodities. Their 2 starting wide receivers from last year are now kind of backups to 2 guys that transferred in, right? Rambo being the number 1 guy. Their running back core is very similar to Alabama's, where it's a 3-headed horse that, who gets the bulk of the carries is who plays well. So if they can find the guy that plays well early, if their offensive line can stave off one of the best pass rushing units in all of college football, if their wide receivers can contribute, then they're in business to make it a game. That's where my bias sticks out a little bit, is that I'm not convinced that they can do that, but I feel very confident that is the case, that's the difference in the game, is the fact that Miami just doesn't have enough dudes to help out D'Eriq King, who's one of the best dudes in all of college football.
Let me ask you this. This is kind of interesting. Nobody's picked Alabama to really repeat, and you can look at it this way. That either means like a Georgia or a Clemson or Oklahoma, people are picking them to win. Like either people don't believe in Alabama, and that could be good for Alabama, or people just don't think Alabama's that good this year to where those teams are just better than Alabama. How do you see it looking at those 2 ways?
Well, I've posed that question a few times over the weekend. Why are so many folks just playing the numbers and playing the odds and saying Alabama's going to lose a regular season game? You look down the schedule, and yes, it's playing the games on paper, but so much of the sport can be played on paper. It's just the nature of it. Because months ago, it was Alabama's number 1. It doesn't matter. They reload. It's what they do. They're not going to lose to anybody. They're undefeated, yada, yada, yada. Same old song and dance. And now as we get closer, we start to hear Saban say, well, these are some of the issues that we face. Then they start to look and say, well, some of these teams are just, they're only talking positively. They must be great. The thing is, though, is that you're still dealing with a lot of these teams are playing top competition that can kind of cancel each other out a little bit, maybe send somebody spiraling. You talk about Georgia and Clemson. Who's to say the loser of that game doesn't spiral? Sure, they're not going to, have a losing record or anything, but a spiral for one of those kinds of teams is a 2 or 3 loss season, right? That's not the case for Alabama. Even if they were to somehow lose to Miami, that's not the case. That's not something that's going to happen.
Do you feel good about Alabama's leadership on the team? Because, you can have all the talent in the world, but we saw last year with LSU, they had a lot of talent, but their leadership was poor. Do you feel like Alabama has good leadership on the team?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You talk about defensively, you're talking about Phil Mathis and Jordan Battle primarily, and then you can also throw Henry To'oTo'o in there, who's a transfer. Those are 3 of the best leaders on the entire football team. You go offense, it's Chris Owens, it's Evan Neal, and I think John Mechie's in that conversation too, having been the guy to represent the offense at SEC Media Days. I think you've got more there than maybe a lot of people would expect. Remember, that's the thing, right? Is we're plugged in at Alabama. All the unknowns to a national perspective are more known commodities to us, and vice versa. That's why there's a lot of unknowns with Miami. Even when you dive into their team a lot, there's still just so many unknowns because you're not quite as plugged in. But leadership wise, I've got zero questions about Alabama. I don't think you'll be seeing a Nick Saban team dealing with leadership issues the likes of what LSU had last year.
And one more thing before I go, I know you're pretty happy about this, but Thompson's been pretty dominant, wouldn't you agree?
Well, Bryant's the Thompson guy.
It's Brian.
Brian's the Thompson guy. No. But I will say, though, 110 points to 0 in the first 2 weeks of the season, that's stupid. That is insanity. I know they're not playing, like I heard you say it the other day, not playing the top competition in the state just yet. But man, you kind of feel bad for T County after the tough loss to Hillcrest, having to go in and take on Thompson. Man, that's tough.
Well, I'm trying to convince myself that game will be competitive when we play, and we have to. Here's the thing. Trussville's good. It's kind of like saying this. It's like you're good in college till you play Alabama.
Yeah.
Well, in 7A, you're good until you play Thompson. Well, Hoover's good too, and we have to go to both places.
That's a tough region, man. I don't wish that on anybody. I really don't.
But listen, let's be honest. Are you from Alabama?
Yeah, I'm from South Alabama. I'm from Baldwin County.
Well, I'm sure you've known Hoover's been the dominant force of Alabama for a long time. Well, Thompson's kind of been the new team on the block now since Mark Freeman took over. So, I guess you could say it's nice to see a new team for change, but at the same time, it's just with Hoover still being good, but Thompson taking it to a new level, it's just making it hard for new teams to win state championships.
Well, they're not unstoppable. One awful decision was all that stood between Adam Weingarten, who's now the head coach at Tuscaloosa County, from being a state champion last year with Auburn. They came mighty close. That was one of the wildest things we've seen. So, Corey, man, we got to run a break. Appreciate it, dude.
Good talk to you. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. So I see a familiar name on the call board. I'm sure he disagrees with me on something. We'll talk to Kendall next here on Off the Edge, Tide 100.9.
From the Town Square Media Weather Center, we continue under a flash flood watch and a wind advisory until tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. as the remnants of Hurricane Ida move through Mississippi and Alabama. We've had steady rain throughout the morning. The heaviest rain is still to come this afternoon. So watch out for winds and rain. We could have flooding throughout the evening. I'm Captain Ray.
Walk-On athletes put everything they've got into the game.
Walk-On Sports Bistro puts everything we've got into bringing you game day with a taste of Louisiana.
Over 70 big screen TVs.
Mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine. Po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers and fresh salads.
Made from scratch with ingredients you can't help but crave.
Now open in Tuscaloosa, 6785 Skyland Boulevard.
Walk-ons.com.
Walk-On Sports Bistro, more than a restaurant.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cloudy and windy with occasional rain through tonight. The rain can be heavy at times. A flash flood watch remains in effect. Also, the chance of a few isolated brief tornadoes. The high today 79, the low tonight 70. Tomorrow, occasional showers with a high at 78. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 76 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to Off the Edge on Tide 100.9.
We are back here on Off the Edge, Tide 100.9, 5 days away. Just 5 days away from Alabama and Miami. How awesome is it, man? Week 0 was a lot of fun, by the way. I really did enjoy watching Nebraska and Illinois. I did fall asleep because Adrian Martinez was so bad, but did wake up for a riveting finale.
How fitting is it that the first points of the college football season was a safety
by Illinois too, like
Mr. Brett Bielema.
Man, it was kind of fun to see Brett Bielema back in college football as a head coach, bringing that kind of style back to college football. My bad about that. That hard nose, kind of football, and their quarterback had to come in, Sikowski. I don't know if you saw the graphic when he first got into the game after the original starter got hurt. Sikowski threw 8 touchdowns to 20 interceptions during his time with Rutgers. I think he missed like 3 passes the whole game against Nebraska. Played lights out and won the game, man.
That's why I knew as soon as I saw that opening line that Nebraska was the 7-point favorite. I was like, oh, I wish I was a betting man. Real money, because I would have made that in a heartbeat.
Speaking of betting, man, the NFL has teamed up with like 4 different sports books.
The Cardinals already have their own official sports book.
Alabama, what are we doing?
Sports betting, lottery, now.
Let's go.
Please.
Grandma, after we deal with this hurricane, come on now.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Kendall, I know you're yelling at me about having not seen the Miami 30 for 30. I'm terribly sorry, man. What's going on?
Dude, I didn't know. I didn't hear you say that on Saturday. I didn't know that you had not seen it.
No, I have not seen it. Because
like,
I know most of the story. Just
do you though?
I mean, maybe not, having not seen the full story, but like just general knowledge of it.
Well, I know Darth Vader is actually Luke Skywalker's father.
Spoilers.
So I'm not okay. The movie's like 40 something years old. I know Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father, so I'm not going to see it. Dude, come on.
I'm sorry.
Come on.
Dude, I agree. I agree with Brian. It might be the best 30 for 30. Like it's top 3 at least, but it might be the best one.
Like, y'all understand, like I feel bad for having not seen them. Like a little bit. Like a little bit bad. Like it doesn't like rest on my conscience, but like I know as a sports fan and as a football guy to the core, like it's my duty to have seen these, but like I'm just not this super movie guy. I don't know. Like
it's not a movie.
It's like a
documentary, which is different.
Documentaries are movies. Come on now.
It's different. They're not the same.
I didn't say
there's no certain. There's no certain script. No, it's all right. You have 5 days to watch part 1 and part 2.
I guess
make it a movie
part 2. But Kendall, you've seen both of them. Isn't it hilarious how they conveniently leave out the 93 Sugar Bowl out of part 1 and part 2?
Well, so what? Part 1 only goes up until 90, right?
According to Bryant Horn, it goes up to the national championship, and then the next one starts right after the national championship.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, they do. They do highlight their losses, but it's about the 93 isn't necessarily a part of the 80s dynasty, which is the focus of the first one, and the second one is part of, the 2000s and late 90s and stuff. So I mean, yeah, it is kind of weird that they left it out, but kind of the timeline they were going after is kind of in between both of them.
I mean, I can't make any promises.
Isn't the whole storyline of the 93 Sugar Bowl, though, is that it's Alabama, the team of the 70s, plays Miami, the team of the 80s, in the 93 Sugar Bowl? That's like the whole point of the main storyline. And Gino Torretta winning the Heisman.
Well, also all the trash talking and the completely different styles, all that. What's up, Kevin?
Jacob, I didn't hear you say it on Saturday, so I had to jump in for that. But I wanted to get your thoughts ahead of before this depth chart comes out. Like, do you see any surprises? Like, is there anything that would kind of shock you? I just kind of want to get your thoughts on that.
Before what comes out?
The depth chart.
Oh, surprise! Would it be a surprise if Jaleel Billingsley isn't tight end number one?
I expected to say or.
I think it's going to say Cameron. I think it's going to say Cameron Latu. I think
okay.
Yeah. That being said, I think by like the Florida game, maybe after the Florida game, Billingsley will be number one. But I think that's the only real surprise I could see. Maybe with Jalen Armour-Davis having to have battled some injuries here as of late, maybe Kool-Aid is number one on the cornerback depth chart. But I don't know if it's a surprise, but if I had to like hang my hat on one, it's probably Jaleel Billingsley not being tight end one.
I think that would be also. The running back position, like I kind of expected to be Brian Robinson and then a bunch of oars after that as well with Sanders and McClellan and Roydell Williams. There is one player, though, that I also want to get your thoughts on. I know someone that you're high on as well is Brian Branch. And I expect him to be listed as a starting safety with Helms dealing with the injury. So with that situation, kind of, if Branch goes out there and say Helms doesn't come back until, say, the Florida game, and he goes out there and he plays very well in the first two games, do you expect him to be the starter for the rest of the season?
I don't know if I expect Branch to be in that spot in lieu of Helms with Daniel Wright still being around. I know Daniel Wright is on everybody's short list of guys they just prefer not to see on the field, but experience kind of plays its role. That being said, Brian Branch is always the guy where every time I hear his name, it's like, oh, well, that's another guy who's just so good but can't get on the field. I would hope it's the same thing though. It's like with Kool-Aid and like Terrion Arnold and Kyrie Jackson. Like there's so many defensive backs who deserve playing time. There's just not the spots that are available, So it's hard to like make any predictions about Brian Branch. I just know when he's on the field, he's going to do special things because that's what Brian Branch does. Every time that Alabama was in the dime in 2020, he did something spectacular. He was constantly there. You had to keep an eye on number 14. I don't think that'll change.
A lot to unpack. What about this receivers position? So I know there's a ton of guys. There's the freshmen, JoJo Earl and Christian Leary, and then a ton of sophomores, whether it's Javon Baker, Trayshawn Holden. And from everything that I've heard, everything that I've read, it still seems like Slade Bolden is slotted to be a starter still for this team.
Well, it has to be. He's one of those leader guys. I think he's gonna have to be concerned after Alabama plays some teams that can allow the backups to get in and let JoJo Earl start to shine. That's a name that has just kind of skyrocketed in the past few weeks, and I'm very, very excited to see what JoJo Earl does. That said, Jamison Williams is still the guy that I'm watching. I know it was Trayshawn Holden for a long time, but the fact that Javon Baker is still considered one of those top outside wide receivers through most of training camp that we got to see and hear about, I still say play 1, give it to B-Rob, play 2, screen to Slade or John, and then play 3, just send it deep to Jamison Williams and let the kid fly because he's got speed for days and Miami ain't got it. Kendall, I got to get out of here, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'm a check in a couple of days and make sure you watch these documentaries.
I'm going to do what I can, all right?
All right, my man.
All right, take it easy. Woo! Before you know it, it's going to be 4 days, then 3, then 2, then 1. The Alabama football season is almost here. Nick Saban talks in an hour. The Jay Barker Show is up next. The game with Ryan Fowler as well from 2 to 6.
Nick Saban talks now, I think. Noon?
At 1. Throwing me off on my closeout. See y'all tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Thank you for listening to Off the Edge.
Can't tell you how proud I am of our players, our team.